Vicky looked in the mirror, adjusting her pearl necklace so the largest teardrop bead sat perfectly centered on her neck. "All set, Mike," she said, noticing her husband approaching. Fidgeting with his tie, he was visibly nervous. "Untied again," she smiled, stepping in to help. Her eyes caught silvery stitching on his crisp white shirt. She knew his wardrobe by heart and was certain this shirt wasn't his. "Nice shirt," she said cautiously. "Where'd it come from?" Michael glanced at the sleeve and shrugged. "From the closet, on a hanger." Vicky studied the fabric, a chill settling in her stomach. She personally handled buying, washing, and ironing his shirts, not trusting the maid with such delicate work. And she hadn't bought this one. The brand was unfamiliar. "Am I losing my memory?" she worried, watching him slip a navy jacket over the sparkly shirt. "At 35 already?" She slid into comfortable shoes and left the house. On the way to the theater, she mulled over how a stranger's shirt ended up in his wardrobe. Each time, she concluded another woman was involved. As if to confirm, a stranger approached them as they climbed the theater steps. After a coy greeting to Vicky, she handed Michael a small package wrapped in black plastic. Michael coughed upon seeing her, but she quickly flitted away. "Who was that? You know her?" Vicky asked as he asked her to tuck the package in her purse. "Yeah, Alla from work. Must have been eager to pass me a project our marketers ordered." Vicky subtly felt the package. It didn't feel like paper, more like soft fabric. By the play's end, she was still reeling, eager to get home and open the mysterious package. But as they reached the house, Michael held out his hand. "All right, hand it over. I'm heading to the office." Vicky reached into her purse, feeling the soft contents. She nicked the wrapping with her nail. "Hurry up, will you?" he said, eyeing her fumbling. "Sorry, think I snagged it," she said softly, pulling it out. Through the tear, she glimpsed familiar white silk. His shirt. She shot him a questioning look. "Got something to say, Vic? Why make a fuss over nothing?" he began, but she'd already unwrapped it, revealing his white shirt with a faint pink stain on the chest. He paled, muttering a curse under his breath. Barely holding back tears, Vicky asked calmly, "Odd projects your marketers order, don't you think?" She flung the package at his face and stormed out of the car. Michael chased after her. "Vic, wait, it's Alla. She's a scheming witch. She set this up, you get it?" But the more he talked, the more she knew he was lying. She'd long noticed him closing his office door for phone calls, staying late at work despite owning the business and acting so different it felt uneasy, anxious to be near him. Tonight's scene clarified everything. Under the shower, Vicky wept silently. He was with her, that Alla, she thought, spilled wine. She gave him a clean shirt, then poorly washed and returned it. But why do it in front of me? She wanted to believe he was right about Alla being a schemer. But how did he come home in someone else's shirt? She met his excuses with silence, so Michael snapped, "Fine, don't believe me," and slept in his office. Near midnight, her phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "Sorry, the burgundy stain didn't come out," with a winking emoji. Before the divorce, her mother-in-law called. "Vicky, don't rush this. How'll you raise Ian alone?" she pleaded. "Okay, Mike's a fool, but why should our grandson suffer? Come live with us." "Lydia, it's decided, so please don't try. I fooled myself too long, thinking Mike and I had a perfect family, a great son, and a wonderful mother-in-law. I'm done sharing him with Alla." Lydia sobbed. "Where'd that vixen come from? She doesn't love Mikey, just his money. That's why she's so brazen, wanting your place. I'll never accept another daughter-in-law but you." Vicky hung up, fighting tears. Why are men so blind, falling for bold fakes who just use them? She thought. She packed and decided not to wait for the court, moving out immediately. With some savings, she could rent a place and find work nearby. Lydia begged her to stay in town to see Ian. Vicky promised she would. She found a place near her in-laws' gated community. Lydia visited the next day. "Vicky, my girl, you've lost weight," she lamented, hugging her. "Don't worry, we won't abandon you. Whatever alimony Mike's ordered, we'll add more. Don't you dare refuse." But Lydia couldn't keep her promise. A month after Vicky started work, Lydia called, tearfully sharing bad news. "Vicky, darling, forgive us. We're off to Europe for treatment. Tony's tumor's back. Nerves, probably. Don't know when we'll see you. Wanted to stop by, but it happened fast. We're at the airport. Sorry, dear." Vicky calmed her, wished Tony well, and said goodbye. Lydia wasn't pretending. She genuinely loved Vicky and had urged Mike to marry her. Vicky, an orphanage alum, studied at a medical school. One night, a dorm emergency saw a student in agony with abdominal pain. When the ambulance arrived, Vicky watched, awestruck, as the calm, coordinated team reassured the patient and her friends, leaving them confident all would be well. That night, Vicky decided to work on an ambulance. After school, she enrolled in a paramedic program. It was tough. Her stipend wasn't enough, so she worked as an orderly or caregiver. Lydia once hired her to care for Tony post-surgery. Vicky nearly declined due to exams, but Lydia, recommended by a head nurse, insisted. "Trust me, you're studying medicine, not some fool. Agree, and I won't shortchange you." Vicky agreed, moving into Lydia's home, leaving only for classes. Life got easier. No cooking or cleaning, handled by hired help. Tony was a model patient, following her every request like she was a medical professor. One day, Mike entered his dad's room, nearly bumping into Vicky carrying a pile of linens. "Wow, we've got beauties working here now," he mumbled, nodding. "I'm not a beauty, sir. I'm a medic," Vicky retorted, marching out with the linens like a giant cake. Mike started visiting his parents more, delighting them. Tony recovered fully, and as Vicky prepared to move out, Lydia, attached, refused to let her go. "She told Mike to marry you," Lydia said. "An orphan? Even better. No family drama. She's diligent, tidy, sweet, and pretty." Mike needed little convincing. He'd liked Vicky since their first encounter. Vicky felt a familial bond with him. Grateful for his parents' kindness, she saw his proposal as natural, though she'd never dared dream of it. They had a lavish wedding and lived in Mike's downtown apartment. Ian was born, and all was well until Vicky sensed Mike's feelings shift, like she was an old, worn-out shirt. The court ordered Mike to provide housing for Vicky and Ian, but he dragged his feet, so they stayed in a rental. Ian attended preschool, and Vicky worked as a nurse, not a paramedic, as she hadn't recertified. She was grateful for the job, though money was tight. One day, an ambulance brought an unconscious man with no ID. Vicky knew bosses disliked such cases, but couldn't break her medical oath. She placed him in ICU and set up a drip as the on-call doctor advised. Orderlies whispered he was found near a dumpster, but Vicky ignored them. The next day, he woke. She visited, warning, "Rounds soon, so remember what to say. You're my relative. I'm Victoria Andreevna. Maiden name Kuchina. Got it?" He nodded faintly, his gaze softening. His eyes seemed familiar. "Do you remember your name?" "Yes, Viktor Anatolievich Bespali," he said, his voice surprisingly youthful. "Any ID?" she asked hopefully. A call interrupted, so she reiterated her name and left. After rounds, the head doctor summoned her. "Victoria, the ICU patient claims he's your relative, true?" "Yes, Vitaly Evgenyevich. Victor's a distant cousin. I'm an orphan, so I cherish any kin." "All right," he smirked. "How do we treat him without insurance? Will you pay out of pocket?" Vicky realized she'd been rash. The cost of her kindness was unclear, and she and Ian would have to pinch pennies harder. But she stood firm. "Of course, I'll pay. Just prepare the bill." He nodded, dismissing her. "Oh, what have I done?" she thought, walking home. "Such expenses, and Ian's expecting a park trip." Nearing the preschool, her phone rang. "Hey, Vicky," Lydia said, unusually chipper. "How are you and my grandson?" "Thanks, Lydia. We're fine," Vicky replied, forcing cheer. "You sound unsure," Lydia noted. "Listen, neighbors from the cottage community called. They say it's bad our house is unguarded. Even with security, thieves are bold. Can you find us a watchman? I'll send money now. Don't ask Mike. He'll hire a drunk and pocket the rest. Allah's bleeding him dry. You'll find someone reliable, sober. Remember our new cottage?" "Of course. Ian and I stayed there last summer," Vicky said, thrilled at the timely offer. "Good. Get the keys from the neighbor. Open the guest house for the watchman. Turn on the water and gas valves. Can you handle it?" "Absolutely, Lydia." "Great. I'm sending the money. Enough for the watchman's pay and fun stuff for you and Ian." "Thanks, Mom." Vicky slipped, using her old term for Lydia. Lydia teared up. Vicky knew who'd be the watchman. Victor. His blood tests showed he didn't drink, meeting Lydia's key requirement. The next day, she visited Victor in a regular ward, as his head injury, a minor blow to the sturdy occipital bone, wasn't life-threatening. He was recovering fast. Seeing her, he smiled and stood. "Glad to see you. I wanted to talk." "Really? I've got questions too," she said, flustered. They sat on a corridor sofa by a window with a large plant. "Vicky, I know you're helping out of kindness, but I can't take advantage. I'll repay all costs and any trouble." "Trouble?" she asked, confused. "I heard nurses say you got called to the boss's office because of me." He looked her in the eyes. She blushed. "Oh, that," she laughed, waving it off. "We just talked, sorted it out. No trouble." "Still," he insisted. "I'll make it right, but I can't yet. I'm hiding." "Wait," she tensed. "Is your name fake?" "No, it's real," he smiled, like she was a kid. "Just used my mom's maiden name for safety." Vicky stiffened, trembling inside. How could she vouch for a stranger? His faint scars hinted at a rough past. Seeing her unease, he shared his story. At 15, he landed in a strange city, forced to find work. "Why?" she asked. He frowned, shaking his head. "Can't say yet, but I fell in with a bad crowd, made to do criminal stuff." Vicky gasped, covering her mouth. "Don't worry, I'm no robber or killer. But what we did probably ruined lives, especially young ones." He sighed. "I wanted out, but couldn't leave without my passport. Our handlers kept them. I decided no documents were better than getting hooked on the drugs we delivered via drops. That's how many guys ended. I got lucky, stole my passport and some cash while the handlers slept. Snuck into a Baltic country, worked as an auto mechanic's assistant. He taught me to fix foreign and old domestic cars, a great school. I saved enough to come home. Felt awful for my dad. Thought I'd never see him again. Planned to beg his forgiveness." He paused. Vicky wiped tears, thinking, "He ran away and regrets it." He continued. In a nearby city, some men cornered him in a cafe, claiming he owed them. He tried to shake them, but they dragged him out, hit his head, drove him to the outskirts, and tossed him in a river. Miraculously, he didn't drown, crawling out in a nearby town where passers-by found him. He passed out before the ambulance arrived, admitted as an unknown. "If I show up in the city, those people might spot me. They've got eyes everywhere," he said, laughing bitterly. Vicky listened, wide-eyed. Such stories belonged in books from the orphanage or Lydia's library, not real life. "I need a place to lay low," he said. "Hope to stay in the hospital a week, but the doctor's discharging me. Can you help me find a place?" Tears sprang to her eyes. "You won't believe our luck," she whispered, telling him about Lydia's request. Hope you can play watchman for a bit." "Of course," he beamed. "Better than I could have dreamed." They planned to meet on discharge day. Vicky gave him a tracksuit and sneakers bought with Lydia's money and waited on a hospital courtyard bench. Basking in the spring sun, she squinted with delight when a surprised voice said, "Victoria?" A neatly shaved young man with a warm smile stood nearby. His eyes felt familiar, with a vague resemblance she couldn't place. I didn't recognize you," she said. "Honestly, I didn't realize this charming girl in a light sweater and jeans was the stern nurse I only saw in a white coat." He grinned. They headed to the train station for the cottage community. Sitting across from each other, they smiled like old friends. Victor asked about her family. Vicky shared her unhappy marriage. "But I can't complain about fate," she concluded. "I have my son. He's in preschool, eager for me to pick him up. A child's love is far more reliable than—" She met his eyes, and he nodded. "Yeah, adults don't always keep good feelings. I had a girl at the garage, but when she learned I lived in the boss's attic with no money, she cut me off." Vicky squeezed his hand. At the station, someone called her. Lydia rushed across the platform, collapsing into Vicky's arms, sobbing hoarsely. "Sorry, darling. Didn't warn you I was coming. Everything's always so fast. Tony's discharged. Didn't want an extra day in Berlin. Says he misses Ian. I came straight to the cottage. Thought I might help." She glanced at Victor and gasped. "Hello, Lydia," he said calmly. "God, it can't be. Son," she stammered, looking at Vicky. "This is our watchman?" Stunned, Vicky nodded. Victor addressed Lydia. "Any objections to me? Won't chase me off this time?" Lydia sank onto the platform, weeping. "Vitya, forgive me, you old witch. You don't know how I cursed myself for that fight. I searched every yard, dump, and park with the police. Your dad's been sick ever since." Vicky, still confused, helped Lydia to a bench and glared at Victor. "Why'd you do that?" Lydia covered Vicky's mouth. "Don't blame him, Vicky. It's my fault." She explained Victor was Tony's son from his first marriage. At 5, when she entered their motherless home, he rejected her, crying, refusing contact. When Mike was born, Victor stopped speaking to her. She endured his antics for years, but one day snapped, yelling. At 15, he threatened to leave, and she shouted, "Go! You've drained my soul!" He vanished. Police, reporters, and private detectives hired by Tony couldn't find him. "Where were you, Vitya?" Lydia moaned. He'd wandered the country, working as a loader, flyer distributor, or field hand. Field bosses beat slow workers, leaving his scars. He escaped their slavery, reaching a city. "You're a vanishing expert," Vicky said sadly, hugging Lydia. "Don't cry, he's found, and hopefully won't disappear again." Victor, who'd watched Lydia's confession coldly, dropped to his knees. "Forgive me, Mom. I shouldn't have done that, especially to Dad." They sat on the rural platform bench, crying, mumbling incoherently, ignoring passers-by. Lydia called Tony. "Tony, you home?" "All's well. I'll be there soon. With Vicky and Ian." She glanced at Victor, who signaled silence. "And someone else. Wait for us." Victor stayed with his parents. His garage experience helped in Tony's upscale car dealership, and they became partners. Lydia called Vicky often, urging visits. One day, Vicky replied, "Lydia, Ian, and I might move in soon. Victor confessed he loves me and will ask your blessing." Lydia nearly dropped the phone. "God, Vicky, you truly bring joy to our home." She rambled about Vicky becoming her daughter-in-law again, seeing Ian often. Vicky smiled, thinking, "Oh, Lydia, not just Ian. In 8 months, we'll give you someone else." City news soon buzzed with headlines about the businessman's missing son returning and finding love. Victor and Victoria's wedding was unforgettable. the night sky lit by a dazzling fireworks display.